Yes. Welcome back to Chatting Up the Chick. Yes, we are back. And look, if you've just listened to the last episode, then you're probably thinking, what the shit? You haven't been anywhere. That's right. I haven't been anywhere. But
Let's be honest, Chris. They haven't probably listened to the last episode.
Hey, look, let me tell you something, Phillips Janssens, without getting off topic straight away. I did a bloody good podcast on my tour of Aotearoa on the bicycle, and I got 126 views. Thank you very much.
Oh, breaking the internet. Woohoo!
It's funny because people clicked on it by accident thinking,
Yeah. You're probably just on a typo, so you come up as like the next thing.
The next thing to die. That's what I'm going to do. Right, so this new concept show, we are going to diving in straight away. It's all about things that are happening in the world. There's two white men who've got nothing better to do. We're going to talk about all the problems of the world, and we're going to tell you how to fucking solve it, because we know what is best.
Absolutely, yeah.
How you feels?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Basically.
So this week we are delving into a issue in the world that has been going on for 3 months, as of the 1st of June, as we record this, and that is the war in the Ukraine. Now, before we start talking about our own personal views, before we start talking about our own views on this, I think it has to be said that I am shocked and bloody annoyed by the fact that there's someone in the 21st century who thinks it's okay to invade another country. What the?
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly, eh? Yeah. I think it's more. I mean, there's plenty of. I mean, America was trying to do that with other countries, but let's not go down that rabbit hole. But what Russia's doing is just so blatant, and they're also talking about nuclear war, right? So that is just another level of aggravation that I never thought the world would ever come to.
I'm actually glad you brought up the concept of the United States of America, because they are renowned for invading countries under a precept of doing the right thing. Much the same as what we find with Russia. It's not hidden knowledge that Putin used the whole idea of Nazis in the Ukraine as a precipice to go in and kill people. Like, does he not realize that Zelensky is Jewish? Like, hello, last person who's going to be wanting Nazis in his country is a Jew. Like, it just doesn't hold up straight away. It's absolutely ridiculous. But what I wanted to do is talk to you about your roots, because you're a Latvian.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Because you didn't seem sure.
I think I am. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I mean, it's been many years since. Of
course,
lived in New Zealand, but I certainly definitely identify in many ways as a Latvian, I guess. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. So your mum grew up and lived in Latvia. You've got a grandma here who spent the majority of her life living in Latvia. So you have that connection.
Well, I lived in Latvia for 9 years.
Yeah. So you already have you're look. Why am I'm trying to big this up for you. You should be doing it yourself, you dickhead. Anyway, the whole point of my my questioning is, as a Latvian, as a country that used to be under Russian rule for so long, that then gained their own independence, what is your viewpoint on this? Does it change? Does it differ from, say, my viewpoint as an Englishman who now identifies as a Kiwi, or is it the same?
So, just trying to understand what exactly you're specifically asking. Am I got a point of view of my heritage or point of view how this war is impacting the country of my birth?
Well, whichever direction you want to take it. I just want to
All right.
understand, is there a difference because the closeness and the history behind both the Ukraine, Latvia and things like that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I still feel to some level patriotic towards my own country. I could definitely identify that area, because me being raised there to some extent to 9 years of age, and then also being, spending so much time there, and I still identify it in many ways to the culture that I have from that. So, and one of the things that was I still very much remember is that Russia is not the crowd favorite in our country. They are primarily been quite arrogant and basically non compliant with, when Latvia declared its independence, they basically put up the middle finger and said, we're not either leaving or we're not adjusting to your guys' rules, essentially. And they just stayed there until the country kind of established itself, and so did they. So, I don't really have an understanding of Ukraine, and there's often been talk about, Latvia and the Baltic states being the next, next one in line to be attacked, essentially. So it definitely draws a very scary picture for, especially just my country, but also my to some extent some of my family that are still there. So hope that answers your question.
No, yes, certainly does. With regards to the chance that that Russia could invade Latvia, like, how would that make you feel? Would it spur you to go and help, or what?
Gosh. Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, I have two conflicting thoughts when it comes to that. I mean, I have that patriotism of like, back there, Russia's just going to continue doing what they're doing, and I have a sense of, let's go participate in the war effort, and pick up arms and go try squash the invasion. But at the same time, I'm well aware of the craziness of war, and I certainly don't have a character that has the guts for it. Basically, I would say I can't think of killing another human, even if I feel it's so much injustice is happening because they are invading us, and it primarily is just because the politician or the leader of their country has decided that we're going to do this now.
Introducing.
Oh, what the bloody hell just happened?
Who are you introducing? I was all excited. Then you woke me up.
I don't even know what happened. I hovered over something accidentally and clicked it. But anyway, so that's kind of like my two trains of thoughts towards me potentially heading over and participating, but at the same time, I'm not really keen on war.
No, I'm totally with you. I'm a pacifist. I believe in peace via peaceful means, not via the sword or the gun. But I will be nice to you, because that's very unusual for me. But I will tell you that Latvia is actually part of NATO.
Yes,
so if Latvia was to be invaded, then basically Russia's basically going to war against 30 different countries that are all part of NATO, which includes the UK, US, and most of Europe.
Yes.
So so the chances of that happening are very slim, but you never say never.
No, but I don't know. I was actually in an Uber with a Russian recently, as I just moved to Auckland, and I was on the way to, I can't remember the place I was on the way to, but I try to avoid the question of the conversation of Ukraine and Russia and blah blah blah. And
oh yes, the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
it's like it's almost like being with a taxi driver and you just want to ask him what time's he on till. And has he had a busy night? Like
yeah, it's a standard thing. But like I merely just asked him, hey, where you from? In case he was maybe from Yugoslavia or freaking some other Slavic state.
Uzbekistan.
From Uzbekistan, yes. But no, he openly said he was from Russia, and then I was, I know there's quite a lot of Russians in New Zealand, blah blah, trying to get on the conversation of something pleasant and not Ukraine related, and then he literally he got on the topic. He was like, yeah, we have lots of Russians, but also Ukrainians, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. And then for the next 45 minutes, he just continued to just do a word vomit of his thoughts on the whole what's happening in Russia, and he, to some extent, he was very much a pacifist, but he was also in the military, but also tried to claim Russia and Ukraine are exactly the same, and oh god, it wasn't a particularly pleasant drive, but I still gave him a 5-star Uber rating. So,
funny. So he's still affected by propaganda, even when he's living in New Zealand.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Wonderful. Right, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, Phillips and Chris the Chick are going to solve the world's problems. Yes. What a knob. Right, welcome back. You're listening to Chatting Up the Chick. We're talking about Russia. And now we get onto our second part of our podcast where we start discussing, two white men discussing how we can solve the issues of our day. So my question to you, Phils, is what the hell can we do as two knobs to help a situation like the Ukraine?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, I feel helpless. Jack shit.
But people are waiting for some words of wisdom, my friend. Come on.
Oh yes, kill Putin.
What's going to come out of your mouth right now is not only going to save the world, but it's going to get me at least 10 viewers or listeners. Sorry.
Yeah, well, we go back in time and we assassinate Putin.
That's a pacifist. How'd you do that?
Well, I mean, rather that one person die rather than millions of people die, or thousands or 100,000 people.
But isn't the problem bigger than Putin? Isn't another Putin just going to step in his shoes?
Maybe, or we just kick the bucket down the road, right? I don't know. To be honest, Russia has a very harsh culture internally, and the reason why Putin has been in power is because he rules with an iron rod, basically, and he has a lot of corruption and a lot of the public also has abided by those sets of conditions for this whole time. If the public didn't want corruption, if they didn't want all these things, it kind of means that, I don't know, that's maybe a conflicting, I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that they want corruption because nobody really wants corruption, but if a system is constantly like that, you tend to go along with it, Yeah.
Well, and that's always been the issue with an authoritarian state. You either toe the line or you disappear.
Yeah, so
that's what was happening to protesters. They came out and said, "No, we don't agree with this," and they disappeared. There is no fairness in an authoritarian state, unless, of course, you're in the power position.
Yeah, so I mean, the solution is very, very difficult because, you go kill Putin, and like you said, there's somebody else that steps in and takes his place. I mean, the only real form of solution would be to invade Russia,
which is then just
which is
eye
just
for an eye.
Yeah, just eye for an eye. But the only solution is that you basically go back to the old age solution of like invading a country, taking its people, transporting them across other parts of the world, so they're injected into other areas, so they can't stay in their, horrible culture essentially.
Yeah, well, yeah. Without going down that rabbit hole, because man, like, how do you change a culture? Well, a culture changes over generations. It doesn't change overnight. And Russia has had their culture of authoritarianism for a long time. Even going back to the Lenin, Stalin days, and even when the Tsars were there, it wasn't even like it was. It just took, like, when the Tsars were defeated, it just took another same boss, different title, because Lenin and Stalin came in, and it was still the same as the Tsars, just under a different title.
Yeah.
I think your point of Putin has manipulated the system there to stay in power. The fact that he was president, then he went out, Medvedev came in, Putin stayed on as prime minister, changed the constitution so he could come back in as president, and he came back in as president for as long as he wanted. Now, obviously, I read that in Wikipedia, so it must be true. But just that one person having that amount of power, obviously he can't do it by himself. He has a lineage of people underneath him that help him keep that power. But like, the only people who can change it is the Russian people.
Well, absolutely. All right. And so, I mean, it's interesting because even people here that I know that are Russians are very careful not to speak about certain things, except for the Uber guy. Certain things that we have, just avoid the question entirely. They don't.
Yeah, it's strange, that, isn't it?
Like, we can't think about it. Sorry.
Yeah, man. No, it's. I would like to think that we could solve this one, but it's way bigger than we are. Like probably most of the issues we're going to come up with. But I would say, from my perspective of someone who is doing a course on international development, there is certainly things we can do to help the Ukrainian people, whether that's giving money to aid agencies. I know there was that thing online where people were booking out Airbnbs, obviously not going there, but just giving money to the Ukrainian people so they could obviously have some sort of cash flow continuing to come in. So there is plenty of things you can do to help the Ukrainian people. But yeah, overall, the way this whole situation, I dare think how this whole situation is going to finish, come to a finish. I feel really bad for someone like Zelensky, who he's only been in power 3 years? 2019, I think it was. Coming from the position of someone who doesn't like the thought of war. I would never go to war myself. Never hold a gun if I can help it. But for someone like the Ukrainian people who have stood up to the bully, so to speak, and have done what they've done, I'm so impressed, like, with their resolve. Obviously the fact that thousands of people have needlessly died. It's very easy to kind of bypass that in war. It's very easy just to get stuck in that political sphere where it's ideology against ideology, and you completely forget about the deaths that came about. Yeah, I just wanted to say that because that's what's been the hardest thing for me. It's just like accepting the reality of death because people are defending themselves. Right, let's take a break there because this is shit. And we'll come right back because, as we all know, something that needs to come after negativity is some good, positive, feels Chris vibes. Yes, yes. Pop open that beer. We're going for a good time. Right, welcome back. Part 3. We now move on to our positive stories of the week. And I didn't tell Phils about this because, I wanted to get all the glory. But this week, Phils, I came upon 3 great stories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the 3 great stories. I'm going to give you a little breakdown of why the stories are so great. And then what I want you to do is I want you to tell me which one is the most positive and makes you feel all warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum.
All right. Good to me then.
Sweet. Right. The first one is, this one comes from the United States of America, which is unusual because there's not much positiveness that comes out of that place, especially lately. No. Holy shit. But there was there's some divers in Lake Tahoe. You know Lake Tahoe in California?
No idea.
No? Okay. Well, anyway, there's some divers that recovered 12 tons of trash from the lake, which included engagement rings and wallets. I think that is pretty impressive. Like, to go into a lake and pull out 12 tons of trash. One, that tells you, shit, man, people disrespect nature far too much. But I'm happy that there's some people out there that are willing to get into their tinnies with their man boobs hanging out and they're jumping overboard in their little whitey tighties and pulling out some big fellas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, the second one. The second one is, I don't know where this one comes from. I think it was England. I think it's some university in England. I'll find out another time. Anyway, researchers scientists, they're the same thing, and they researchers, scientists. They have powered a computer using only algae and daylight to make electricity.
Oh, shit.
How impressive is that?
That is pretty impressive. I mean, are you saying that we're all going to be run, like everything of the world is going to be run on is solar panels and algae?
How cool would that be? Like, my house would run by itself for the amount of algae shit that's and mold that's growing inside of it. Quick, link them up to some electrodes.
The algae's running out.
Yes. Yes, it says it's comparable in size to an AA battery. The system contains a type of non-toxic algae called blah, 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 blah. That, that's the scientific name. That naturally harvests energy from the sun through photosynthesis.
Oh.
The tiny electrical current this generates then interacts with an aluminium electrode and is used to power a microprocessor.
Right. So it wouldn't be a lot of energy then at the moment.
No, it's not going to power your house, but hey.
Well, we kind of said the house before.
Yeah, but my house is full of it, so I've got a lot of power. Right, and the third one is there's a Dutch company that have just created a fully biodegradable mycelium casket for when you die.
Right.
Fully biodegradable. So they stick you in the ground and it's all going to biodegrade. So when you die, you will become real compost. Already put my order in.
You already put your order in. But I thought wood does that already, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. Apparently this is the living coffin.
Right.
Transforms your body into compost. So maybe no, the other one didn't.
Yeah. I guess it would help people who are buried alive,
Yeah, well, yeah, they can die knowing that they're going to die well.
Well, I was more implying that they have a very set limit of time before they know that they don't have to smash through a wooden casket in order to get to the top, I guess.
All right, I was under the impression they're still going to succumb. Sorry, we just made this negative, haven't we?
No, I was trying to put a positive spin on it.
Funny, right? Because we're running out of time. Out of those three, which one is getting the positive Pete Award for the most positive story of the week?
Well, I got to go with number one because that is just great. I mean, I know that the problem we have is so massive, but when you hear stories of someone pulling out that much rubbish out of a lake, that's a substantial amount. So that's really good, and that does make me feel better and more empowered to go do something for myself. So.
Good lad. I always knew I could count on you to end my podcast on a positive note, that I'll walk away from this without thinking about tears. I'll save that for next week.
Oh, right, okay.
Thank you, Phils. Right. Next week, we are going to delve into, again, as two white male men,
privilege.
We are going to delve into the problem of abortion. Thank you very much for joining us, Phils. See you next week.
Yes,
have a good week.
Please do. Bye-bye.
Yeah.